Okay, kids,
Not fun.
Yeah.
let's move the agenda.
Bring my shotgun.
I'm gonna call us to order at 6:32. I'll use mine, Mickey, it's easier to see that. I might as well start right off. I've got a change in the agenda that Deborah did. We added a couple of things, and I had one waiting for me when I got back, as you're all well aware. Gotta make a Martin pile. It's just the first page, so that shouldn't be too bad.
We don't do this appointment, do we?
Number one? No, that's been done.
That's what I thought. He was vice president last year and moved up the line.
Yeah, and I really want to make a point of sharing that. I gave you a copy of, I asked Steve to give me something. And I mentioned that last Monday. I think for us, him being in the position, having the opportunity for some of the contacts at the state level and beyond is really valuable. And, you know, I've often, as we get into things, I've often heard Steve, make a comment based on, the information he has from others. And, if he has a question, he can always pick up the phone, especially with Ron Peaster. Ron Peaster is probably his best expert to go to in questionable situations. But it was an honor, and it certainly reflects well in the town. I would encourage anyone at any time to feel comfortable to give him an attaboy, throw him an email, let him know, we're proud of him.
It may be an
that's all
honor, but
that's
I bet you there's some work to it.
There is some, and quite honestly, Tom, I sort of wanted to sniff that out a little with him, because he's a very busy young man and he can't take on too many extra responsibilities. They don't meet that often. I really think, if anything, we benefit more than he's going to be giving back to the group.
Yeah.
That's very, very good. And the other thing, and Steve has played that role a bit, as we mentioned before, as they design their program for their annual training in Lake Placid, because of his role, it's not hard to influence the program to meet some of our needs. So we aren't just passively engaged there. My number two, junkyard renewals. We chatted just a little bit. I asked Deborah to give you the, I believe there are 4 Steve's recommendations. I have the photos here if you want to see them. Of the junkyards, the concern, of course, is the one at 271 Ruger. And as you can see, our codes officer is
Could I see the picture?
deeming this as out of compliance. The photo's right behind that. And it's, I just don't see any options that we have. I mean, that's my opinion. We've had in the past.
They're all not gone, huh?
I don't know, Tom. I haven't been down there. I don't know if I could qualify it as all or most. I'm led to believe they're all gone.
Yeah.
The reason and the why is irrelevant. I think we accepted them marginally because they were off the main road. They were a barrier of sorts, but now there's nothing. And there's really not any significant junkyard activity going on, but you would be asked to give a permit that would allow that to happen. What if it did? And why would any of the other junkyards comply or do fences if someone doesn't?
Is there still junk there?
There's a
Because the
little
barrier-
bit,
the
there's some
barrier is-
stuff in there,
The barrier is for visual,
and
aesthetics,
access, snowmobiles
yeah.
flying through.
but I mean,
I do want to go down and take a look, but.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's applying for it, I assume. So I assume there's going to be a
Yes.
junkyard there, in which case you have to have a barrier.
He has, and, I think it was you, Tom, on another issue made the comment, if we have rules and don't follow them, why have them? And there's a rule about a barrier, and there isn't one there, so. Probably to be continued. Those will all be woven into resolutions by Deborah for next Monday.
So we'll have 3 of them.
Right, and I guess just an FYI, as I mentioned tomorrow, I'm in Lake Placid. It's a busy weekend. I will be out most, if not all, of Friday next weekend is quite busy also. We have 2 birthdays, a wedding shower, and, you know, all kinds of things, and the kids coming out from Kentucky, and the grandkids. So next Thursday I'll be kind of in and out, and Friday I'll be in if I have to. So we're gonna be pushing those packets ahead a little bit. And I'll lean on Marty to make sure and get some feedback. I don't know why, it goes 1, 2, 4, 3 must have not been interesting or something, I just noticed that.
I was just gonna say that.
I received, now you have that one also, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Brian gathered this for me, and I just wanted to make sure and put it there, and I put it on this agenda in case someone wanted to make comment. But if you look at the documentation, for example, for the town of Beekmantown, the total levy is $17 million. From the town of Plattsburgh comes 11 of that. It's huge. The impact of the town on the revenue to the school district. And I guess with the malls and all, I would have said, because the Beekmantown School District does cross into that commercial district. If you look to the next page, the Saranac School District, with a total budget of over 11 million, over 3 of that comes out of the town. It's, you know, almost close to a quarter, or more than a third, or a little less than a third of their total revenue. And Peru surprised me a bit also, because again, we just get a piece there, but out of a 14, almost $15 million budget, just under 4 million. I often say, though I'm not looking to live in a urban area by any means, that's why they have codes and planning, but economic growth and development is crucial to sustainability. And if the town of Plattsburgh weren't growing as it is, I can't imagine what those schools would do, especially Beekmantown. And as people who live in the district, and we all live in somebody's school district, you know, we're going through the stage that we're in. At what point can you no longer gut out the services? And how long can you sustain limited services before you start overriding and having to compensate? If Beekmantown had to come up with even half of the town's share, they'd be short another $5 million. So, you know, town revenue and what we do when we work with a project is crucial, not only to our general fund, but to the community at large. And, you know, I just got this not that long ago, and you may have some other thoughts, but I thought it was useful data. I don't want to interpret it, I'm just trying to point some things out, if anyone has any questions or comments on that. It is what it is. It's a heck of an inconvenience sometimes for folks with the traffic and the noise and construction and strange people coming in that don't know our roadways, but thank God we do have growth. The last one, the next one rather, informational meetings.
May I suggest a change?
That's why we gave it to you. Go ahead.
Switch the last one, Monday the 25th. Switch the 2 places, so we meet at Treadwell's Mills while it's warmer, and then come to the town hall after.
It's funny, Deborah and I looked at this when it was done, and it was built on the past, and both said, why are we ending at Treadwell's Mills? Why don't we end out here?
Yeah, because then if we need papers or something, we got them, we're gonna put out.
Well, and if it drags on, the resources are more here. Everybody comfortable with that? We'll flip-flop those 2? It shouldn't be an issue. Take some time and look at this. I tweaked it a little. One of the big things, and you know, sometimes it's in your face a long time. One of the big things, and it's the smallest, I put a date on it. You know, as these are backing up and you pull them out of a file, there was nothing to indicate what year these special meetings were for. So if you find one somewhere, if it doesn't say 2012, it's not the new one. Also, you might note Tuesday, May the 29th, that's because by resolution 2 of this year, the town offices are closed that Monday, and we canceled the meeting, but I thought we might still want to keep our Tuesday meeting, otherwise it's difficult to get around to all the spots on a timely fashion. But that one is Tuesday. We canceled our Monday meeting.
Yeah, Monday, so we
Right.
just moved it to
And we'll
Tuesday.
still have, but Yeah, and that becomes our regular meeting.
What's the reason for the cancellation?
Memorial Day,
Memorial Day?
Yes,
because I probably won't be here. Not me, you can be here. if you
we
wanna
hadn't
have it.
formally rescheduled either, but we still need to have our community meetings, I think. You'll also note, we're using the new Cumberland Head Fire Station.
It's nice.
I haven't been in it, but I've heard good things. Anyone, any other concerns? We'll change that one. I'm not gonna, I don't know if I'll even see Deborah tomorrow, so I'll crisscross that one for her. OGS, the only reason I put that there, and I don't think Deborah gave you anything, or she gave you one paper.
Why don't you get your stuff?
She did give you something. We've been going around about that a bit, and I just wanted to formally, because I had some communications with Jim, and I don't know if I did with everyone. We did find out that these vehicles are not available. They haven't come up with a new contract. And it's not unusual, and maybe sometime later spring, early summer, there will be something. But then I pushed Jim even farther to call to verify what we were seeing, to make sure we didn't miss anything. And you have that information, so going out to bid looks like the best way to go. Parks and Rec, you have a letter from Mel. And one of the things I think is a change this year, that department will make, as she has done here, recommendation for 3 hires. It would be my intention to have a resolution supporting her letter of recommendation. If anyone has any concerns over these 3 individuals, let us know. I personally know number 2, had him as a student. I'm surprised I didn't have the others. Maybe I did and forgot. But he's a fine, fine young man, very involved with children and athletics, etc. There may be some other questions about the rates.
Yeah, that's my question, is I don't think we can pay part-time seasonal employees more than we pay part-time, full-time employees that work inside the building. I think it's a setup for disaster, and nobody can make, I mean, whatever our starting minimum rate is, that's what these guys need to make, because every year, when they get laid off and go back to doing what they're doing, next year they start as a really a new employee again, because they're just part-time seasonal, so that whatever, the rate needs to be whatever our minimum rate is. If we raised it to $10 or whatever, that's what it needs to be for everybody.
What about 625?
Well, what about this one, it says it'd be full-time, this period? right?
Yeah, but it's still, it's full-time, but it's only seasonal, it's just a seasonal, so it's still a part-time position, because it's not year-round.
What if some of these have been here, this is their 5th season, Paul? Would you see that they should make a little more than?
I don't see anybody should make any more than the people that work here every day of the week. There's no way I'd support it. I mean, Ricky fought to get his people more money, and so did Jackie, and now we're just gonna turn around and hand them more money? There's no way. No way I'm supporting that.
And the other one that she mentions is a supervisor, if you will, of the town-wide mowing, coming in at $12 an
No,
hour
that's
rate.
number 2, is the supervisor mowing.
The 1050 is the supervisor.
But then the other guy that's actually driving the mower is potentially gonna make more than the
More than a
supervisor.
supervisor. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
Demote me quick.
nor do I.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that
Yeah.
with Andy. I figured he was doing the kids' stuff, and the $12 was gonna be I didn't read for understanding, but it would probably be good, and I would encourage our committee to sit down with Mel
Did you meet
and
with
have
her?
some conversations.
No.
She told me she couldn't, so.
Yeah, I told her I was waiting to talk to you, and we would set up a day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna stay open-minded. There might be some rationale. My problem is, how do we explain it to people that are here 12 months of the year, and so on and so forth? So I don't know what that rationale might be. And I'm not sure why we need a supervisor of mowers, but I guess that
A
needs to be
supervisor of
discussed.
mowers, when the mower gets paid more?
Yeah. It begs, talk to me, there
Well, if
must be
those
a
are the 3
reason.
people he's hiring, what do you need a supervisor? I don't know.
I don't know either. We have,
Shouldn't one of the regular people be the supervisor?
would seem to be the right question, Tom. But, you know, we put a process in place. I'm trying to make myself use it too, and, you know, let the committee go down and be open-minded and say, we had some questions. Why? Why the numbers? Why the supervisor making less than a mower? It just doesn't make sense. Why do you need a supervisor? Those are the three questions. The other item on there, and it doesn't require a resolution, is the summer hours. Got to remember to leave notes for Deborah so she can work on these things. We have that, as you know, and I think there are some questions with that also.
My problem with going to summer hours, if it rains Monday through Wednesday, and the only days you have to mow are Thursday and Friday because it rained all week and the whole staff is off, but one person for 4 hours on Friday, there's no way we catch up, and we never catch up. So we wind up mowing in the rain, which is what destroyed, or certainly damaged, contributed to us needing a new lawnmower, a new $40,000 lawnmower. So besides that,
What's the purpose of the summer hours?
so they get Fridays off.
That would be my thought.
The other thing is, I mean, Art works summer hours and his crew works summer hours a lot of the time, but Art comes in much earlier, and it's so that he can get in and out of people's offices and work. I mean, he comes in at 5 in the morning
Yeah.
to get in and out of somebody's office if they have to work before staff gets here in the morning. The difference being when Art's crew goes on summer hours, 10 hours a day, so does he, because he's supervising them. Mel's proposing that we do this, but she's gonna stay on 8 hours a day, so. I
Does
mean,
she work Friday?
yeah, but her being the department head, there's nobody here in the morning, there's nobody here in the afternoon for the crew that's supposedly being supervised by her or Aaron.
Oh, and maybe she's out doing the work. I think there's a rationale, Jim. I think it's questionable. I think research could be found on both sides of it. I think there's a biological tendency that after 8 hours, you're hungry, you're tired, you want to go home.
Right.
But, and probably more in the case of highway, there's so much time to stage a project, move the equipment, get the flags out and the barriers. Once you're on a roll, you want to finish it.
That was
And-
a argument given before by.
Yeah, and I think it's a good argument if the
was given by
supervisor
the
could get,
Director too.
yeah, if the supervisor can get the work out of the people, it makes some sense. You know, in Art's case, these early shifts,
But is Mel coming in at 6 in the morning?
I don't think so,
Then it doesn't make sense.
you know. Well, I think there are some questions that have to be asked and answers that have to be given to.
I mean, maybe maybe you're right, maybe there's, on the surface, it doesn't seem to make any sense.
I mean, if the guys are mowing the fields, they don't need Mel in her office to come in and get a mower gas up and go mow. She's not watching them mow the grass. I think my biggest concern, I mean, there's a job to do, it gets done, if you're gonna work 8 hours a day or 4 tens. There might be a mentality that I'm getting a 3-day weekend out of this, you know, I love it and I work hard. But I think Paul's got a good question that in that particular situation, you know, what's the answer to, we couldn't mow 2 of the days because of bad weather. You know, it rained like crazy Wednesday and Thursday, and it's sunny and everything's growing. What are you gonna do
I
about it?
got another one for you. If the seasonal staff is the mowing staff, do we want the mowing staff to be out mowing at 6 o'clock
I
in the
don't
morning?
think she's including them, I think she's only
Says-
including Tyson.
No, it says Monday
All
through
seasonal
Thursday,
staff.
all seasonal staff.
Yep.
I mean, there's potential for them to be at Maycarrier, at Champlain Park,
South Plattsburgh,
South
right behind
Plattsburgh,
everybody's
you know,
house. Click, Colton,
next to people.
Katyville.
We're fairly close to people's houses.
That's a
mowing.
really good point.
Cumberland.
I'm guessing not at 6 o'clock in the morning, but 6:30 at least.
Yep, I wouldn't be excited about that
No.
at all.
So, you know, again, I think, and I'm not saying that we're hiring people that are not trustful, but again, if Mel's not coming in till 8 o'clock in the morning, who's watching from 6 till 8?
Well, she's not out there at the places that they're at most of the time anyway.
No,
And that would be, no matter what time of year you're looking at it.
but those are good questions.
I'm not saying she doesn't go around to them, but not.
And maybe she doesn't. those are good questions, and I just think, you know, if the two of you are gonna sit down with her, and I know you are, I would just bring to her, the board has questions of how that's gonna work in practice. It sounds good in theory, but will it work in practice?
And the other thing, I mean, that happens when you do this is you wanna remember Memorial Day, 4th of July, those become 10-hour paid holidays. If you're if you're working 4 days a week, it's a 10-hour paid holiday. And it costs taxpayers more money to have a 10-hour paid holiday. I mean, and we don't, and my rationale is we don't allow water and sewer to do that. Those guys are here 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
And that
And they don't complain.
that presents some internal issues, because you've got one colleague getting a paid 8-hour day and another colleague getting a paid 10-hour day.
In anything you
That's
do,
tough.
to the extent you have different groups working different hours, getting different benefits, you're just begging for trouble.
But it's a good idea in building and grounds, just the nature of the beast.
No, if there's really a terrific reason, then you get away. If you don't have a strong reason, then you got a problem.
And I think we have to sort out, is it just a, you know, me too for the 3-day weekend, or is there?
I would almost sell that if we don't allow Parks and Rec, that we don't allow building and grounds, and we just say, other than highway, where Jim is an elected official and Jim sets the hours for his department because he's an elected official, the town board isn't authorizing summer hours for anybody that we have jurisdiction over. It makes it simple.
As far as arts crew, I could see them coming in, like you said, before people come in.
Well, they work,
Then
six-
working,
well,
but working
they
5
work
days
6
a
to
week.
2:30 anyway, so they're here 2 hours early
Exactly.
anyway.
So that's,
And that's really
basically the
important,
idea.
if they're doing street lights, traffic lights, they're doing sidewalks out there, and, you know, the commercial area, you wanna get out and get that done before the day's activity begins. And you don't have somebody's
Yeah, it doesn't really
bedroom
get busy
where you're
until
doing
10
it.
o'clock or so.
No, I think the early hours, but I think it's almost unheard of in the private sector
4
to take
times
Fridays
different.
off.
Yeah.
You don't get Fridays off, do you, Paul?
No. Well, if I don't wanna get paid, I do.
Well, I think a nice flexible schedule. I'll take whichever day I want off.
That way.
You get Fridays off? Oh,
I know.
Okay, so, this doesn't take a resolution, or are we gonna have a resolution for hiring?
We're going to go ahead and draft the resolution so it's ready to go for next Monday, and.
Do the summer hours require board approval? I think it does by contract.
Yeah, but I don't need a resolution. I think with that, we can either say, go ahead, or no. It's not a act that requires a resolution, just an internal operating decision.
Well, I just think, yeah, make sure you're looking at all the departments. if you're gonna do it.
Well, I don't disagree. We can go through this every year here, but let's start with this one, and we'll go from there. I made a note for myself on arts, because I tentatively said that seems to work well for them. You know, go ahead. And in my personal opinion, if there's an advantage and we don't have any disadvantage that's measurable, getting the work done, I can be flexible.
Maybe Mel will come
This
to us
group-
with an advantage, but I think from what I've heard so far, we've got a list of disadvantages that may far outweigh any advantages.
And this group is different than building and grounds and highway, it really is.
But let me go another step further, then why don't we close court on Fridays and let those girls work 10-hour days? I mean, it's just never gonna end
Well,
until we
Friday,
say,
they can't.
why?
They're getting bodies coming in, calling, making payments.
They've closed court before, because they had to go to class or whatever. I'm just saying, the same with any department here, why don't we just, let Ricky close his office on Friday and not have his part-time person come in?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just never gonna end, and everybody else is gonna want the same benefit. If we say no to everybody, then it's no to everybody.
But we haven't had that problem. And most people have so much personal and comp time. Anyway, we may want to go there. I don't know. Bring back a recommendation and let's talk about it. We'll take no action now. I'll make sure that doesn't happen with building and grounds either. The minutes I have not looked at. Again, we hope you will all do your due diligence, different people find different things. You've got Dave's, the reports.
You skipped over a bunch
Did I
of,
skip something?
you're on your new agenda here.
I'm not even using my, I got a new agenda.
You shouldn't have told them, Paul.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what the hell's the matter with you?
You wouldn't have so much, yeah, right.
That's not even, that got put in, nah, she didn't read. Nah, they're down here. This is where they were supposed to go. Okay, we'll use yours. Now, these needed to be draft resolutions. What's the first one, Chaz? Request for private right-of-way.
That's a resolution?
It's going to be requiring to get rid of Cedar Hedge Road. When I left, I had wanted that to be just drafted into a draft resolution, which we have. It should have been down in the other part. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here it is. This is something we've done many times before, request to remove it from the 9/11. Put this belongs. And that should come to you as a resolution. I think you've got sufficient documentation right there. Cedar Hedge. The other is a street light. Resolution was to be changed. The resolution in the packet that you got is going to be amended. Somewhere in here I would hope to find that. Here it is. The one in the packet is not the one. This is an amended version of that. Take that one right away from Mr. Mannix's pile.
One in what packet?
The one on Cedar Hedge, Deborah put the resolution at the very end. Just X that out, destroy it, and the one I just gave you is the one to use.
Oh, so this is different somehow.
Yep. All right. The immediate difference is the difference in one that is block text. Also, on the revised agenda, I had it down in a resolution, is street light.
On this resolution?
Yep.
The spelling on the second, on the first resolve, is supposed to be superintendent? Second sentence, on the first resolve?
Bless you.
I don't even have the word superintendent on there. First resolved,
Oh, are we talking about the private right-of-way for Cedar Hedge Road?
that's the one I got in front of me right now.
This is you have the old ones, so this is the new one.
You just handed a new one to us, that,
That one's blocked, yeah, see, these aren't blocked, I don't know what the heck these are, I don't know where those babies came from.
this is the one you gave me.
No, you got the right one, it's blocked, I don't even know if
Yeah, but
I
that's what I'm talking. This
have
one.
a copy of that. Yep. I see it. Maybe she didn't make enough of those. I guess Marty's is the last one, so I will use that one. Okay, got it now. And that will surface on Monday. The next one will go by, the revised resolution is the streetlights. There should be a resolution on the back, the resolution is on the back. This shouldn't be an issue either. Mr. Max's.
Bernie, just out of curiosity, what triggers our agreement to put up a street light?
Request from the resident.
But there must be, I mean, there must be some criteria.
Art will follow up with them to make sure there's a pole there. The ability to do it, he contacts NYSEG and they'll come out and do it.
This was not only a request from the resident, but a request from Jimmy Woods too, because it's dark to turn around.
Down,
Okay,
yeah.
no, that's, I mean, there has to be some rationale. You just can't call up and say, hey, I want it in front of my house.
Well, yeah, you can, that's how it starts. You know, and
Okay, glad to know.
Art, yeah, and, you know, you may want one at the end of your driveway, and Art will go out and look and say, you know, there's no real public benefit to this.
Okay, well, that's right, there's a public benefit criteria.
Let's think through this, because,
I got
that
you.
just
Yeah,
makes it
ordinarily,
easy.
the lights are on alternate poles, like on every other pole.
On Route
If somebody-
3
If somebody wants one to
corridors.
have one on their pole, just to have one on their pole, I don't think we'd honor that.
Okay, good.
Well, think is an operative word too, because as we go forward and everybody is now in a lighting district and they're going to be contributing, I don't know.
I understand that,
Now we
but
gotta think
I
through
still
that.
think we need to maintain some sense of reasonableness
Yep.
when we install the lights. We don't wanna have, areas where it's super bright, just because everybody wants their own pole. My question here is, are we going to start installing our own arms and heads in anticipation that we're gonna own all this equipment
Not yet.
anyways?
We don't yet. We're still under the old system. I mean, it really does, the conversation, and we haven't had a problem, but the conversation does beg an answer to what you're saying, Jim. Can we pull a document out that is a criteria? And we don't have one.
Yeah. It'd be good if we did, because otherwise somebody told he got one.
Yeah.
Why he
Well,
got one, I didn't get
And
one.
your neighbor doesn't want one because they can't see the stars at night or something, you know, now what do you do? We haven't developed that, and it has, I don't think it's ever
Okay,
been a
all right,
problem.
maybe it's not a problem. it's not
Well,
that.
I think it is.
Okay, well,
Good thing you're not Jim's neighbor.
sorry.
Good thing for Jim, he wouldn't get his light. But we should have some criteria
I think
going
it's just
forward.
cost.
We don't.
You're continually putting them out more and more cost, the more you put up. And people they're gonna ask them whether they need them or not. They're not needed everywhere. I mean, the whole part, it originally was to put these in commercial areas where, you know, and they were supposed to be direct, we're supposed to have direct light down now.
Well, I think we're doing well with that. You want them at every intersection, whether somebody wants it or not. There should be one at the intersection of roads.
But we're
It's a
talking
safety
about
issue.
every other pole or along the
But-
street and
but-
everything. You know, I mean, I'm
Okay,
telling you.
but the point is,
The cost is gonna just.
nobody has asked for that, nobody. And I
Nobody
don't
has
think you'll
asked
see
for it.
that happen. I mean, the lights have been there for many, many years, and
Well,
nobody's asking to do them everywhere.
okay,
Um,
but if you run into a problem later.
Well, that's the thing, Tom, I think Jim is hitting on something. We don't have a criteria to determine. And I think it becomes a little bit of a sticky wicket. I mean, if I'm paying for lights and I want a light, you're gonna tell me I can't have one?
You say we don't have a criteria, but check with the planning department, because I think in all new subdivisions, there is a criteria for streetlights in new subdivisions.
Yeah, I think you're right too, but I mean, as far as someone calling and saying, I want you to put up one outside.
Right, but I mean, if we, again, it goes back to, if we have satisfied a district with every other pole,
Mhm.
and now somebody calls us and, well, you know, I'm on the end of the street, and yeah, you put it on every other pole, but I'd like one
Yeah.
at the end of the street to light up that end of the street. Maybe we wanna say, well, that doesn't meet with reasonableness. If you wanna pay for the
Yeah.
light, we'll put the light up, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a scenario where it would be foolish to put, you know, every other one except there's three in a row.
Right. You
I
know,
agree.
we might go onto that street and find out that that street is already served, but because they live at the very end of the street and they perceive a problem to be there, now they want a light. And again, you know, if I had people driving across my lawn, I'd want some kind of protection too, but I think what I'd do is I'd put up a fence before I'd ask the town to put up a light.
You make a note.
It just seems like, you know, one person can ask for a light, and, there's no vote of the neighborhood or anything like that, just.
Ask for a light and don't curse the darkness.
You're absolutely right, that's how it's currently working.
I will ask for darkness and curse the light.
And I'm not touching that line. That will be a draft, but, good point, Surface, do we have a criteria, how do we make the decision? It hasn't been a problem, but I'd rather have a solution before the problem. Now we're down to the drafts, I guess, on both agenda. The first is dog controls. This is among, I think it's among the items, Dave brought his up, and I said, you know, you got it on your computer, email. And you want to get these things as an attachment and we'll post them, so they can be up there. And some of the ones, Marty's not here, he usually brings it up as he reads through these and starts chuckling internally. I mean, he's going to have to be a lot more vanilla. And we have to be careful with identifying a location or, you know, a homeowner with something that could end up becoming a situation in court. So we're going to have to learn how to make those more appropriate for public.
Edit them.
That's the word, and I did.
There would be a lot of editing.
Yes, I
There wouldn't
did.
be much left.
I edited some of these things.
Deputy Dog Control Officers Agreement. Gerard and I talked a little today. He had some very good questions about the agreement. We've been chewing on this a while. There it is. We'll have that resolution. It's the amount, same as we paid forever. There's no liability to the town. He will not be accessible by the community at large. He would only be accessible through David or us when a call comes in for Dave. There's an emergency and he is not available.
Now, we say he's a part-time employee of the town. Is that communicated to Peter Prescott?
Yes.
Okay. And so, the other thing too, for anybody, I think last time we were looking at Marty, we said, does he have a kennel? And I talked to Bernie on the phone, and this man might make $120 in a year, so I don't think he's gonna build a kennel, so.
It's very, very inconsistent use.
And not only that, this isn't a 30-day contract, it'll probably be $120. It's not worth a lot of thought.
I don't think so. Well, it is relative to potential liability, especially with, you know, pets that are cherished, but we're covered. The next one is a request to Rural Water Association. Recall last year,
I think that's
the group got the award.
incorrect.
Where, Tom?
Well, you put a resolution for one person, but you put two people's names in there, and the cost for one person is, over.
First resolve says the director and the assistant superintendent, Scott and Paul,
Yes, but then the next amount isn't the right amount of money then.
for the two of them.
Well, not according to these authorizations for travel.
662.
You got two of them that are for 662, so that doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't.
There's a second resolution, isn't there?
Yeah, you just have to have a resolution for each one. But even then, the amount of money there might be wrong.
I don't like the way those are clipped together either. That's laying the foundation for crises. In fact, we only have one down here.
There's two people traveling together, got that. They're staying for 2 nights. They're taking the town vehicle, okay, we save all that, but then when it comes to the
The first one is
registration,
wrong,
meals,
not
and
five.
$1,500.
Go back to the first
No.
one. This is, it's 300.
362?
Yeah,
312.
it's 362 for lodging and meals.
What?
362 instead of 537.
It's 662 according to the,
And then the registration
300.
is 300.
We have another resolution attached that has the right numbers.
Right. So then it becomes, right.
Why are those two? That doesn't make any. They both need to read the same,
Why don't we just have one
362 and 300.
Why don't we have one resolution for both names and the amount for
I
both
thought we
of them?
had one, which is why I had one in the agenda, but I noticed there was a second one clipped to it as I'm
Just
looking at it.
make sure that in the final resolve, it
What,
says.
there's a second
it says that those
resolution?
amounts
Did I miss it?
are per person.
Yeah,
So if you want 724 and 600, Bernie, or you'd have it for both of them, they're both named in one resolution.
Well,
Just have
so the
one.
second resolution, it doesn't have a 12W, it's just resolution number. They have the amounts correct, 362,
Yeah.
300, but
362 and 300.
it should be each.
Right. But you all need to say each if you have two resolutions. I think we should have two resolutions. It gives the board a chance to approve one and disapprove the other if you want. And it's a separate resolution for each to the file.
Okay, so then we're gonna throw out this other one?
Then we don't need to name both people in each resolution.
No, you don't.
So we throw out this first resolution and rewrite the second one?
Well, we're not gonna throw it out. The first one for Scott Starter, we're gonna make it 362 and 3 and take off the deputy. And then the second one, we're gonna take off Scott Starter and put the deputy.
Good luck. Let's talk about your editing.
This is a work session, that'd be nice.
Okay.
So the first one would be for Scott, and the second one would be for Paul. Paul will come off Scott's, Scott will come off Paul's, and the numbers will be 362 and 300 respectively.
Okay, and then I'll read them over again for the other word.
Is there something else right now that you're concerned about?
Well, not yet.
I know you make it a task. I know if I get through Tom, we're in good shape. Okay. Please, before Friday, let us know anything you see on those. That's part of why we do this too. The next draft is the authorization to bid for Treadwell's Mills Tennis Court maintenance. I think I'd like that to be a singular tennis court. If anyone sees anything there, let us know. You should have.
What would it cost to do that problem, what would be your guess?
She's believing it's going to be over 10,000.
Does they,
It's ridiculous what they charge.
but does it get a lot of use? Okay, I think I got the answer.
You know, Jim, I can always, I don't monitor it, so I can't quantify an answer. When I go by, and the one I might most often go by is Tom Miller Road. I don't go into the others that often. A few years ago, I played a lot of tennis and would run around looking for a court and wait many times. You know, when the kids were involved in town Plattsburgh sports, there were always people at those tennis courts. I think one thing that's happened is with the electronic age, I think there's less. The school teams still use our courts to some extent. Because there are still, and maybe there won't be any next year with budget cuts, interscholastic tennis, you gotta believe the kids are out there playing like they do in the ball fields. My opinion would be not to the extent it was 20 years ago, but I don't think we wanna start taking down the tennis courts and the basketball nets and all that. It's a good question. Maybe you could ask, we can get together with Mel, see if she has any, you know, measurable.
I'm just saying that, you know,
It's a good
sometimes
question.
when you have limited resources, if they're not used there, you could allocate it to that part, but somewhere else. I mean,
Yeah.
Milton paving something that doesn't, that no, I've never seen a person play tennis there in my life.
Where,
Turtle's Mills.
go by there a lot?
Yeah, hang out.
I'll leave that one, end my cross-examination. The one I do have some concern about is the Catherine Hayes. That's out of the way, it's tucked. I don't think it's in the same condition as the others. I'm beginning to wonder if that's one. If this money was to refurbish those courts, you'd have to work me to get my vote. And as far as athletic fields, it's so close to the Legion and they're lighted, I don't think we're using that one. Last couple times I drove in there, those tennis courts were filled with nothing but pine needles and leaves. Didn't look good. Maybe when somebody's out riding around, I'll make the same mental note. Drive in there behind post 1619, see what you see. Maybe we need to have some conversation about that. There's no need to sell it or tear it down, but maybe we need to formally close it. They're not putting
All
more
right,
money.
so you want us to ask that too, and then we'll leave this in for now.
Oh, this is Treadwell's Mills, but yeah, it'll be there unless someone comes up with something, reason to pull it, I'll pull it. The next is the reappointment of Mr. Pearl. Need I say more? That's coming along. We have some exciting things scheduled for April 10th. Make sure you're available, April 10th, before 5 o'clock. That will all begin at 5. The next one is the recommendation to hire Alex Provost. Paul pointed out earlier, decisions by the highway superintendent, who's an elected official, are a little different.
April 10th is,
As you can see, the resolution reads that we will act in support of his recommendation. And that's about all we can do.
what's the April 10th?
April 10th
Planning
is the
board meeting.
planning board meeting.
We're meeting then?
Mr. Pearl will be coming back and be sworn in that night. And
What time is that? You said 5 o'clock, right?
5 o'clock, right. He'll be recognized, a little bit of a surprise.
Call me on that one too.
Alex Provost you have, and then I had my resolutions for LeBaire and the private right away. But that's all right. Guess I had mine set first. That's it?
It's just worth pointing out, Bernie, that I did meet, and do a walkthrough, safety walkthrough, a couple weeks ago, and the 8 or 10 items that I found that day,
Oh,
90%,
one more.
90% of them have been corrected already, and the other 2 items are being worked on, so actually Art's really stepped up and took care of them. I'll actually put together a formal report for the board
Beautiful.
soon.
Getting so much work done that way that life is easier. This is one more that came in after I had left today,
Okay.
actually. Our assessor, as you know, is ready to, as you know, we had talked about doing it, now he's ready to implement the hiring of someone to do data collection. I have not looked at this at all. It appears Mr. Cromie is the lowest, has the lowest proposal to go out and do that data collection for us.
You know how many he checked with?
There are 3
Right.
submitted.
Okay.
Gar, appraisal services and municipal assessment services. So, we'll have a draft on that as well.
This isn't something that's provided by the county?
The county is able to, and we've worked with them before to provide that. There's an expense. There was a reimbursement. The reimbursement may or may not come. The concern is that we weren't getting our, we're terribly behind after years of the county sending something.
They can't meet what we need.
That's a good way of saying it too.
That's-
Yeah, but we have kind of
I had
officially,
heard that, I just wanted to verify it because we have done that in the past.
Yeah.
And I wanna make sure that we,
didn't we officially opt out with the county?
Yes.
yes, because we weren't getting,
Right, yeah.
the job wasn't getting done.
They would allow us probably to opt back in, but we don't think we want to.
Okay,
If there's any money that, if being a big word, any money that comes from the state, we'll get it, and we'll put it back to replace that expense. The problem is there are an enormous number of properties that have not been kept up in the database, and we've got to get it done. I could also share, I guess, that Michelle Buckminster is working out extremely well, helping out within that department, within codes, within planning. As you know, she was in for Deborah when she was out a couple days. She's been in for Ricky. She's getting just enough knowledge on a lot of things that she can really help us out
Yep.
when we're short-handed. And she's there, she's right there, working all the time. She was a good find, and she's really, really producing.